How's it going, everybody? I am DJ Riley, one of the hosts from Boys on the Bench, and I am back with my top 4 NBA picks on these Tuesday games. Now, before we jump into these picks, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and notification bell and getting notified anytime these videos are dropping because they are coming out daily. Also, before you jump into this, kind of just a heads up, check the links in the description because down there you will hear me reference Daily Grind Fantasy, and it's my X profile is down there as well, where all of these picks are posted 100% free. Now, Daily Grind Fantasy is really just a positive EV betting tool that has been proven to be profitable long term, and you will hear me reference them when I'm making my picks for every single one of these. So with that said, let's go ahead and hop over here to PrizePicks, where you can see my top 4 picks here today, which is Jabari Smith Jr. going under 9.5 rebounds, Brandon Miller going over 3.5 rebounds, Trey Jones going over 10.5 rebounds plus assists, and then lastly, Daniel Gafford going over 10.5 points plus assists. So, of course, let's start with this Jabari Smith Jr. play. If we hop over to Daily Grind Fantasy, we can see here that that's one of the top plays for you. And if we look, again, we have several plays that are sitting up near that 55%, with 2 of them being some of my plays for today. So starting with this Jabari Smith Jr. going under 9.5 rebounds, if we hop over to Props.Cash, which again is another link that you can find in the description below. But if you look over there, we can see here that Jabari Smith Jr. on his rebound line set at 9.5. They have his projections at 7.83, which is almost a 2-point edge versus this Washington Wizards team. Now, if we jump into it, we can see here over his last 10 games, he has hit this under in 7 out of his last 10. So he hasn't been rebounding necessarily well. Head to head, he's had 1 game versus this Washington Wizards team where we only saw him have 5 rebounds in that game. Now, I'll also be interested to see exactly how long these Houston Rockets players actually play, because really, if you look here at the injury list, this Washington Wizards team is completely depleted with Trey Jones, Marvin Bagley, Kyle Kuzma is a game time decision. Kulubi he's out for the rest of the season, and then Avita is out as well for this game. So plenty of starters who are injured. So I would imagine that this game is likely to be a blowout. But even if it isn't, if we look at here, Jabari Smith Jr. played 26 minutes, only had the 5 rebounds in that game as well. So really love this play for him today. But if we go back over here to PrizePicks, the next pick that I have for you was that Brandon Miller play at over 3.5 rebounds. Back checking it to Daily Grind Fantasy, they are giving us a 54.83% chance of hitting. And as if we can see here, all of the sports books are offering it at the exact same thing of that 3.5 line, but you can see here that the lowest odds chance, or really the lowest juice that we're getting, is that minus 140. And that is, that's just absolutely crazy, but that's why we're getting that 54.83% chance of hitting. So if we hop back over here to Props.Cash and we look at the rebounds for Brandon Miller, we can see here that, again, it's the top one, and they are giving it a 0.9 point projection difference. Their projections are coming in at 4.4, so you're getting nearly that 1-point edge. But jumping into it a little bit more, we can see that, again, he's hit this line in 7 out of his last 10 games. So absolutely really dominating this line. He's only really cleared it barely 1 time, but everything else has been by at least 2 or more. Head to head, though, we can see that he's played this Orlando Magic team twice this season, and he had 5 rebounds in both of those games. So again, looking like we're likely to go over that line again today. And if we also look at how the Orlando Magic have done versus the small forward position, which Brandon Miller plays, we can see that they've allowed at least 4+ rebounds to 4, 5 out of their last 7 small forwards. So yes, these players haven't necessarily hit their line, but we can see again that they're allowing at least 4+ rebounds to that small forward position at quite a high rate, which is that number that we are looking for him. But let's move on to the next pick, and that was Trey Jones going over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. Now, hopping back over here to Daily Grind Fantasy, it is a play that we have to kind of scroll down a little bit for, but it's still not too bad. It's coming in at 53.9% chance of hitting, which are very good odds, but we are getting onto that line to where we're starting to fade a little bit away from that positive EV value. But again, we can see here that all of the books are offering this at 10.5, but the lowest juice that we're getting is that minus 131, but we're really sitting around that minus 140 with an average juice of minus 138 here. So then let's hop back over here to Props.Cash. We're looking at Trey Jones rebounds plus assists line. And you can see here again, their projections are coming in at 11.24, which is nearly, again, a 1 point difference for us in that 1 point edge. Now, jumping into this, again, it's another play where he's had at least 7 out of his last 10. But if we look at his head to head, he hasn't performed too well versus this Dallas team this year. Had the 3 matchups versus them this year, and he's only hit in 1 and barely cleared it out of those 1. Now, where I really, again, kind of like him is they've really struggled versus this point guard position with their rebounds. If we even look at their rebounds line versus those point guards, everything that they do, you can see here again that they're struggling. The 2 misses that they've had versus that point guard position in terms of rebounds, they've both been hooks. And even assists, if we look over at his assists, we can see that he's getting high number assist totals with 7, 9, 7, 11, 12. So he's nearly clearing this line just by itself in assists alone here recently. And then versus this Dallas defense, you can see here that rebounds and assists, they are ranking bottom 8, bottom 9 in the league in both of those categories statistically. So again, really love for Trey Jones to go over 10.5 rebounds plus assists versus this Dallas Mavericks team. Now, hopping back over to our last pick for today, and that is Daniel Gafford. So we're staying in the same game, but he's going to go over 10.5 points plus assists. Now, if we look back over here to Daily Grind Fantasy, again, there was that Trey Jones play. Now we're looking at this Daniel Gafford play. So just going to under it, it's at 53.78. Again, all lines, all books are kind of that have it available are offering it at that 10.5 with that lowest juice of minus 131, but the highest juice of minus 150, giving us that average of minus 139. So we hop back over to Props.Cash. We have the points plus assists. They do not currently have any projections for them. Luka Doncic is, I think they're kind of waiting to see what his status is. He's been listed as probable, but still kind of trending towards playing today. So that's why a lot of these Mavericks players' lines have not really been set. They're waiting on what that looks like for him. But regardless, we can see here that this Daniel Gafford play, he's hitting 7 out of his last 10 as well. And really, head-to-head matchup, he's had 2 head-to-head matchups versus the San Antonio Spurs team, and he's cleared it in both of those games versus them. And really, if we look at how they've done versus the center position, they have not done too well at all. We can see here that they've really, I mean, it's against high-numbered or high-usage centers here like Jokic, like Sabonis, like Sengun, where they're clearing it. But again, look at how much they're clearing it by. I mean, you're talking nearly doubled this line. This one's by 13 plus. I mean, it's crazy how close they're getting and how much they're clearing it by. So they haven't been doing good versus the center position as well. We're only looking for 11. And Daniel Gafford, if we look at his field goal attempts, he shot 7 and 8 versus them, which is crazy because, I mean, really, he can clear that line in just his points alone, which he did in both of those games. So we're, again, really like for him to go over this 10.5 points plus assist. So anyways, guys, these are my top 4 picks. But as always, make sure you're subscribing to this channel and hitting that notification bell and getting notified anytime these videos are dropping, because again, they're coming out daily. Don't forget to check out that X profile as well, because more positive EV value plays will be dropping there today. So make sure you're staying on top of it. Nonetheless, let's have a great day today, and I will see y'all tomorrow.